Hi, Alan Boston here, and we're going to do a little 2-4 stud teaching session here on full tilt poker. It's starting off four-handed here, and thus far I basically just folded every hand, which is quite common in limit poker, especially in 7-card stud. In limit poker, the essence is to be able to fold hands early rather than late. In no limit hold'em and other no limit games, you can use money to force people off hands, but in limit poker, where there's often only, there's often 20 bets in there, and you're putting one bet in at the river, generally you have to produce the best hand. There's no bluffing involved, so how you start is very, very important, especially in 7-card stud. So we try to start with a premium hand or a very live draw, and we'll talk about that as we go on here. Right now we're 5-handed, so the opener's a little bit different than a full ring game, but it pretty much plays the same, and if we ever get to play a hand, we'll talk about it. And I'm just going to raise here last to act, just standard. Some people would say steal with a pot, but 7-10 jack was probably the best hand there, and there's no steal involved here. Here's an interesting hand. I have 4-5-6 with the 5-6 of spades. And generally I would muck this, but again, last act, I'm just going to go ahead and raise it and try to pick it up, and I get called and immediately make a 5, and he hits a 7. So I have a pair of 5s, which is very likely the best hand here. He didn't re-raise me in 3, so his range is pretty limited, and he hit a 5 and let out, so I'm going to raise him here with a pair and a gut shot, as he doesn't likely have much. He may just have 5s with me, which if he does, he's got me beat, but betting on the river here is kind of dicey here. I still think he just has 2 deuces. He may just have 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't see any value in just betting this here. So I'm just going to check it down, which is a little weak, but and it's good, and I should have bet, and that's just kind of weak, and I can't see what he had. He had a gut shot. Okay. All right, again, 5-handed here with the low card bringing in and me having a 10 with a 5 tack behind me. It's very likely that I could pick up the blinds and antes here. Not the blinds and antes, the antes. We're playing stud, genius. And we get called in both spots and immediately hit an ace. Now, do you continue on here and try to bluff at this with ace-10? And my answer is yes. I have the jack in the hole, and they both folded, and good for us. We got lucky there as we kind of had nothing. But they both hit very safe cards for me to fire at, and so I probably had the best hand with ace-jack-10, so even though I thought I might be bluffing, I really wasn't. Again, I'm going to continue this aggressive kind of trying to pick up the antes whenever possible with 6, 8, 9. I immediately make open 9s, and he makes open 7s. It's not likely he has 2 7s to start here. He would have re-raised in 3, but he did just call me here, so I'm just going to check this here and see what he does. And he checked behind me. And he makes aces up, and this is an easy fold now. Not knowing my player behind me there, when I raise with the 9 and he just calls, a good player would re-raise any pair there. So it wasn't likely that he had a pair, but we are playing 2-4 stud, so he doesn't necessarily have to be a very good player either. So therefore, when I make open 9s and bet, it's very likely the best hand. But when he calls with the 7s, it's either 7s and a 3 flush or maybe a small pair in the hole. And there's no need for me to continue on when he hits an ace, because my hand really doesn't play very well against anything. I really didn't have much. And then he makes aces up, and it's an easy fold. All right, the 5 of spades called, and there's no need to fool around with 7 jack queen. Again, it's different limit compared to no limit, where I might be able to put heat on with an intimidating kind of board. Here, they're just calling one bet at a time, and there's no reason to get fancy at all. To me, the essence of limit poker is to try to start with the best hand, and it just plays a lot easier from there. So, having looked at what they had there, it's a little strange, but All right, low with a 7 of clubs, and we see another 7 out calling immediately. It's good to be aware of what the other cards are in 3, because you're trying to play live cards in 7-card stud. We'll get to something interesting eventually here, I'm sure. The king raising, so this is obviously an easy fold. 10 deuce 7, having absolute zip. Continuing on with that thought, if you play solid hands in 3, if you try to play the best hand in 3 or live draws in 3, the game is much easier to play in the later streets. So what you'll see from me is aggressively playing it in 3. If I can't raise my hand in 3, I'm not playing it. I don't ever limp in 3 and 7-card stud. If someone's limped in front of me, then yes, perhaps I'll limp with certain kind of hands, but it's a good strategy to think about either raising or folding, because that'll tighten up your range of hands you're playing. If you're not comfortable raising the hand, you probably shouldn't be playing it. So raise or fold is a good way to think about it when playing almost any limit game. In fact, even no limit, it's probably a good way to think about it. If you're not comfortable raising 2 7s first act and no limit, then you probably should just fold it. There's no sense limping with it, because when you limp certain hands and raise certain hands, good players are going to be able to define your hands. And you don't want anyone defining your hand. You want to make it as hard as possible on them to know what you have. Therefore, by raising any hand you play, your draws, your big pairs, your rolled up hands, anything, they can't pinpoint what you might be doing. The weaker players tend to limp with their draws and their small pairs or middle pairs, whereas good players will just raise them all. And raising it all is a much better strategy. So I encourage you to raise or fold, nothing in between. Limping is weak and will cost you many bets down the line when against good players who'll be able to pinpoint your hand pretty accurately as the hand gets played upon. All right, now we have a full ring game here, and well, someone just dropped out. I guess they weren't happy with the table, although this is a good table. In a full ring game, you may start. Your starting requirements are probably a little tighter. When you're playing 3 or 4-handed, obviously you can raise many more pots. You know, even ace high, king jack 9, king jack 8, even hands like that might be just the best hand. Whereas in a full ring game, you really have to tighten up your starting requirements in 3. And again, I can't stress you how important it is to start with good cards in 3, because the hand just plays so much easier along the way. And we'll get to some spots where I may fold a hand that others may play, or re-raise hands where others may fold. And I hope we do, because that'll be the educational part of this, rather than me just telling you raise or fold. I mean, that's a good start, but really nothing's happened here yet that I can tell you to do anything with. I have ace deuce 3. It's absolute zip. You just fold it and get on to the next hand. And when you're not in the hand, the good thing to do is to watch the other players and see what they're doing, and maybe find out who the weaker players are and who the stronger players are, and who you could do what against, for that matter. And that holds true for any game. Here the raising queen caught a suited 4 and checked. I have no idea what that means. Probably 3 big cards would be my initial gut. And I went check, check, check. So now both guys made a pair, and he's probably not too happy right now. Now the limping jack paired his door card, but he limped in 3, so he does not have 2 jacks. And again, that's why you should just raise or fold, because it made it easy for the guy with the 8s there, whatever he had to raise. And of course the guy made open jacks and 8s and won the pot anyway, so sometimes bad play gets rewarded. Here I am with 3, 6, 8 again. This is just going to be an easy fold. Nothing too high level here so far, but when you're Boston, you're always card dead, so you have to deal with it. And I guess it's good to be card dead at times, to see how long you just gut it out and fold and fold and fold. Generally, folding is winning. And the more you fold, the better you're playing. Again, this isn't no limit, this is limit. And no limit, I think the more you play, the better you do. And limit, the less hands you play, or the fewer hands you play for proper English, the better you do. And I'll be hammering that point over and over again, that you must try to start with the best hand in 3, or the livest draw. Here I am with rolled up deuces with the deuce out. I mean, this is like the dream here. And if I can ever get the bring in button, always bring it in for the minimum. And of course, everyone's folding here, which is really annoying. Because they can never give me this hand with the other deuce out. And I'm hoping someone raises here and he folds. And if this person folds, yeah, she completes it. So I'm just going to call here. You can re-raise this, but why give away how strong your hand is here? I mean, again, deuce six offsuit. I'm going to raise a little suspicion by calling here, but she's just going to just give me 2 6s and a 3 flush. And now she hits an ace and leads out. Now I can raise it freely. And now, you know, she's looking at deuce 6 5. She may give me the straight. She may not. I could start 2 3 4 here. I'm hoping she has something here, obviously, since I have her completely crushed. But she's thinking, and not likely to have much here. And I'd like to show her, but the show option isn't here. So, all right, I have a jack up and buried eights. Now, the key here is, are my cards live? And I see a jack out there, which hurts my hand a little bit. But there are no eights out there at all, which makes my hand okay. Now, a queen raises a limper, so the person definitely has queens. A lot of people would call here with the buried eights, and with my dead jack against 2 queens, I'm just going to fold it, which many wouldn't do, because if you catch an 8, you're going to win a lot of bets by making the hidden 8s. But again, why start with the worst hand? You're not really. Let's say I had a king up there, I might go with it, because then if I do happen to make open kings, at least I have the best hand against what I know are queens. So with the dead kicker and the worst hand, I chose to fold. There is some merit to calling there because the pair is buried and live, but there's only 2 8s in the deck to hit, and the price isn't right to call, I believe. I think tighter is better in limit, and if you can learn a really, really tight game, the brilliant plays eventually will just flow. Playing good poker isn't about playing brilliant poker. Playing good poker is about eliminating bad habits and not playing bad hands. And buried 8s in the hole is not a bad hand, but it doesn't beat 2 queens, which my opponent had. So just fold it. But it was buried, Boston, and hidden. So what? 8s don't beat queens last time I checked. Just muck it. Make your life simple. 3-8 queens good in blackjack, not in stud, so we fold. Split 4s with a 6. No 4s or 6s out, but this hand really has absolutely no future at all against anyone that re-raises me, so I'm just going to fold it. Keep myself out of trouble. That's a good hand to note. A lot of people would just raise that hand or limp with it because they have a pair. But if I raise and someone re-raises, I'm just completely crippled back there with a jack, king, and ace behind me. So just fold it and keep yourself out of trouble. Just make your life easy. Because what are you going to hit with 4s with a 6 that plays well against, let's say, king 9 or king 10 or king anything for that matter? So again, keeping in line with that, let's keep it tight and let's be careful. I chose to fold the split 4s with a 6, which is definitely 100% right in a tournament and probably about 98% right in a side game. If it was a very active, loose side game with a lot of good players, I might be raising split 4s with a 6 just to keep that lunatic image going, and so I can get a lot of bets in when I do have my good hands. But when you're just beginning stud and you're just trying to learn stud, the best way to learn anything is to learn how to play extremely tight, and that's what I'm going to do here. All right, I'm low with a deuce with deuce queen in the hole. Now a queen is out, which really cripples my hand. It was limped around. Again, everyone give me a free card. Now I catch a dead 10. So a dead 10, a dead queen, and a guy caught a deuce in front of me. My hand is completely worthless, so we fold it. But again, you see what they did by limping there is they gave me a chance to maybe hit a queen for nothing and have them completely crushed, and they would lose a lot of bets by doing so. Ace, queen, 4 is nothing. However, with 2 kings, 2 10s, out and an 8-9, there's a good chance that I'll be able, that ace high is good here, and I'll be able to pick up the blinds, pick up the antes, which is not going to happen because a king raised and a 10 called, and I have nothing, so I fold. I continue to have nothing every hand here except for those rolled up deuces. Hopefully the cards will allow us to get to something interesting to talk about here besides playing tight, but that is the essence of limit poker. is to learn a very tight strategy, and as you get more comfortable, you can open up your game to a few other hands that that you wouldn't otherwise play to start. But it really doesn't change much. I probably fold more in stud tournaments than anyone around, and my record in stud tournaments in the 90s was better than anyone's. And lately I haven't done much, but that doesn't mean I haven't played well. It just means the cards haven't allowed me to get anywhere. Tight wins and limit, believe me, and I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again. All right, here we have an ace up with buried deuces. With 2 queens, a 10 and a 9 behind me, we can raise this and represent the aces, even with the ace out. And this is a little dicey, and we really hope we just win it here in 3, which we do, thankfully. Because that hand really didn't have much of a future either. Well, why'd you raise it then? Because with the ace up, you're making it hard for lesser pairs to call. And there's still that money out there to be won, so why not try to win it? Here I could try to do the same thing with the queen, but there's a queen attack behind me, and I have absolute zip in the hole, so you don't want to get too carried away with trying to steal Annie's, and I didn't. And I allowed the next queen to steal it, which he probably did. He probably had very little there. 4-10 jack, continuing our run of nothing. But notice we're $20 ahead with our run of nothing, you know, just by folding, 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 and appropriately trying to pick off the blinds. I mean the antes. What am I doing here? I played way too much no limit lately. $20 ahead. It pays for some sugar-free Red Bull. Easy fold with the 5 raising. Really nothing to it. The only close call we really had was the split 4s with a 6, and being first to act there, that was a very easy fold. And I do say very easy fold, and I hope people heard that when I say very easy fold, because it really isn't a hand. What future does 2 4s with a 6 have against even a calling king? Let's say he has a king 3 flush and you have 4s with a 6. What do you hope to catch? You hope to catch a 4, which pairs your door card, which kills your action anyway. And if you hit a 6, your hand is... full tilt.